This is the FlipNerd.com Expert Real Estate Investing Show, the show for real estate investors, whether you're a veteran or brand new. I'm your host, Mike Hambright, and each week I bring you a new expert guest that will share their knowledge and lessons with you. If you're excited about real estate investing, believe in personal responsibility, and taking control of your life and financial destiny, you're in the right place. This is episode number 307, and my guest today is Matt Andrews. Matt's become a good friend of mine over the past couple of years, and always a wealth of knowledge. He's a real estate investor, a mentor, an author, really an expert in a lot of areas, including automation and private lending. Now, if you see the benefit of having access to capital to run your real estate investing business that is relatively easy to find and plentiful, you do not want to miss today's show. Now, Matt's going to share many of the benefits of private lending, how it can work for you. A lot of times people don't think that, well, I can do this because they get caught up on the phrase private money or some institutional type phrases. And really, it's just finding people that are in your circle of influence that might want to lend to what you do. So in the Taking Action segment of the show, part 2 of the show, Matt even tells us how to find private lenders, who in your circle of influence are the likely people that you should go after, and really what to say to them, how to say what it is you're offering, and how to create kind of their customer avatar. You're looking for somebody that fits a certain criteria, and Matt shares with us how to think through that. So, in fact, at the end of the show, Matt even offers to share a presentation that he has just finished putting together on this topic, raising private money. It's very much a template for you, completely free. So stay around to the end of the show, and Matt will share his simple guide to help you learn more about raising private money. So let's go ahead and get this show started. Please help me welcome Matt Andrews. Matt, welcome to the show, my friend.
Good to be here, man. Good to be here again.
Yeah. Happy to have you back. And for those that are just joining us right now, Matt and I have actually been talking for almost an hour. So every time we get together, we're like chatty Cathy's. We just start talking about
a couple of gals. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, hey, we're really excited to have you on the show today, and excited to talk about kind of private lending. I mean, we've had people on the show before that are like syndication attorneys and stuff like that are talking about it. But I think that word, sometimes that phrase private lending, sometimes just sounds like it's a scary thing when all it is just like find somebody to loan you money. It's not like, it doesn't have to be this big thing. And I know we're going to talk about a couple of things today, which is kind of what it is. And then ultimately in part 2 of the show, the Taking Action segment, how to talk to private lenders, how to find them. And you're going to share some great tips for how to find those folks. Yeah. I just want to say up front, neither one of us are attorneys. We're both really good looking guys, but you should consult an attorney for the legal side of this. And this is just more of like, hey, if you got that legal stuff taken care of, then this is how you kind of go do those things, how you block and tackle to kind of make it happen. Because ultimately,
more the marketing side of it, and the positioning side of it. Sure.
Yeah. So Matt, I know you're world renowned and well known, but for those that maybe don't know you or need to be reintroduced, why don't you take a couple minutes and just tell us more about who you are?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, thank you again for having me here. Love you guys, love Flip Nerd, just love all the awesome information. And I've told you this before, Mike, and I've thanked you for this before, but I learn a ton from listening to your podcast, and there are so many people and so many experts you bring on in so many different niches that I don't know about, So for me, Flip Nerd is a little bit of like an idea incubator for me, So seeing, the more I can see what other people are doing, the better we all are, right? So
I appreciate that. Truthfully, and you obviously you've had a podcast and done a number of things before. So it's the same way for me. When I started doing this, I thought I kind of knew a lot, but you start to realize how little you know when you start to talk to a lot of other people, right?
Sure. And there's certain things you think you're good at, and then you meet somebody who's really good at it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I got to up my game,
Absolutely.
So that's why we do this, right?
Absolutely.
So I very much appreciate you having me back again. Yep. And private lenders is something that I've been utilizing in my business for, quite a few years, but in the last couple of years and even more so in the last probably 6-8 months, we've really been dialing in, how do we find the ideal private lender, and how do we position ourselves so that it's not just, hey, give us money so we can use it for real estate deals. It's more like, hey, I've got an opportunity here for you that you wouldn't have you wouldn't even know about if I wasn't offering it to you, you know? So, there are so many people out there, and, I'm sure you're invested in other things besides real estate, right? You probably have some stocks and maybe some CDs, and everybody has all these different investment vehicles. And what's a CD making these days? I haven't even looked lately, but
who knows?
0%,
less than 1%, probably. Yeah,
at the best, 1.5. Like something that would overperform would be like a 2% or something like that. So there are so many people out there, and the mutual funds underperforming, and just all these different vehicles, that when you can offer someone an opportunity, an intelligent person an opportunity to make a double-digit return on something with no risk or with minimal risk to them,
right?
That's going to get people's attention, right? So positioning ourselves from, changing the position and shifting the paradigm from, can you give us money? Please, somebody lend me money because I need money, which is not a position of power,
right.
to, hey, I've got so many great deals and so many opportunities coming at me that I need more funds to put to use. I need more funds to deploy. And those are the kind of terminologies we use. I need to deploy more capital. And so I wanted to offer you this opportunity. That kind of positioning, that kind of language is magic to the ears of a smart investor, who could be a private lender for you. And it could be anybody, you know?
Absolutely.
You've worked with tons of private lenders, and I'm sure you've had some that have come from sources that you never thought they'd come from, right? So you don't know where these people are going to come from, and being open to, and then starting to create a process for qualifying, bringing them in, explaining them the opportunity, and then you choosing who you want to work with as a lender. That's the way it should be, because we're real estate investors, man. We know how to make money in real estate. Most people don't, and that's a benefit to other people.
Yeah, I think we sometimes forget about the fact that a lot of people want to do what we do, but they're never going to do it, and it's a way for them to kind of participate. So, hey Matt, let's take just a minute, and you forgot to introduce yourself, man. Who are you? Who is this guy that's been talking now? Who is he?
Who is this guy? Yeah, sorry guys. My name is Matt Andrews. I am Mike Hambright's big brother. No, just kidding. Matt Andrews. I live in Tampa, Florida. I've been flipping, wholesaling, rehabbing since 2000. My business exploded during the horrible years of 2008, 2009, 2010. That's when my wholesale business really blew up.
Yeah.
In a good way. Started selling to a lot of international investors, started creating a lot of turnkey properties, started creating and selling packages of properties, so kind of like super wholesaling packages, and really through that started looking at other markets. A few years ago moved into Michigan, and over the last couple of years now Indiana, Ohio, some of those Midwest markets to do the same kind of thing. So I think we're in 5 markets now. Flip, wholesale, rehab, and all those markets. We have an education company too, which is Real Estate Freedom. So do a lot of wholesale training and a lot of curriculums and educational programs and certifications and that type of thing there. And really, and this, Mike, and maybe for anybody that might have seen the previous podcast I did with you guys, everything we do in real estate, we try to make it as virtual as possible. We try to make, in fact, we've very much gone after creating a process by which we don't need to physically be anywhere at any time, and can handle everything through DocuSign and all these other just great tools that we have today. And so the last, 3, 4, 5 years have really been, everything is to get to that point, and we love to travel. My wife and I, as you know, and as you've been a contributor to some of our charities in Jamaica and India, we love to travel. That's what makes us feel good. We love to help people. We like to do outreach work. And the cool thing is with what we have today, I can be in India working with children in one of our homes, and could literally be flipping a property back in Florida or Michigan.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
Overseeing a team, that's in place there. And I'm just glad it's 2016 and this is when I was born, I couldn't do this in 1898.
No, you definitely have, you definitely are inspiring with as much as you guys do. And I think, definitely one of those guys that practice what they preach. Anyway, glad you're here. Well,
if it all comes down to one word, and you and I have talked about this before, it's freedom, right? Yeah. That's what we work for. If you're working for money, you're going to get it eventually. Then you're not going to know what to work for, if you're doing things right.
Right.
So you got to have something behind that desire for money and finances that really fuels what you do. And, first and foremost, it's freedom. And with that freedom, then, comes responsibility. What do you do with freedom you've established? Well, if you think like I think, and like I know you think, it's how do we help other people? How do we enrich other people's lives? And then how do we make business and outreach and all that stuff, how do we make that all one big thing that feeds into each other? So
Absolutely.
I guess that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's a great way to transition to talk about part of the way you get that freedom, part of the way that you can justify spending the resources and the effort and stuff to kind of build processes and be more virtual is if you can actually fund deals, right? So kind of jump right back into the private lending stuff here.
Absolutely.
But let's just talk about. I think a lot of people realize. I think where we left off was a lot of people don't realize that, hey, maybe the guy next door or the person that I work with or the person that I even a friend or a family member that you just never addressed it with, you don't really realize that they, I think more than ever right now, I think people are dismayed with the stock market. Like, I think there was this time where people like, I want to invest in things I know. And I think most people realize now that it just seems like a big shell game. Like, there's so much financial engineering going on. And even if I know that company, like Starbucks or Nike or whatever, like, you don't have any idea what's going on to drive the financials in that company. And I think people, because of maybe the TV shows and podcasts or other things, like, people want to be a part of it, even if it's not actually getting their hands dirty and doing actual deals. It's like, I could fund deals. And I think until you kind of introduce that to people, they maybe don't even know that is a thing, right? It's time for a quick announcement. We'll be back to the show in less than 30 seconds. PassiveRental.com is your source for turnkey, done-for-you rental properties. If you'd like to be an investor and not a landlord, please visit PassiveRental.com to learn how to purchase cash-flowing, professionally managed rental properties in the hottest rental markets across the country. We can also help connect you with financing for your next property. Invest the easy way today and get started by visiting PassiveRental.com. You don't have any idea what's going on to drive the financials in that company. And I think people, because of maybe the TV shows and podcasts or other things, like, people want to be a part of it, even if it's not actually getting their hands dirty and doing actual deals. It's like, I could fund deals. And I think until you kind of introduce that to people, they maybe don't even know that is a thing, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, most people, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but most people that become good private lenders for us, and especially over the last couple of years that have become trusted, awesome lending partners for us, never thought of themselves that way before.
Right.
And they certainly weren't coming to me saying, let me be your private lender, because they didn't even know that was an opportunity, right? So like you said, it could be your next door neighbor. It could be, you're at the swim lessons, with the kids and there's other parents there. I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So, how do you find those people? Well, you got to be bold, and you got to ask, and you got to talk to people, right? And you got to put it out there. And I'm not saying, hand a card out to everybody that says, want to be my private lender? That's cheesy and chintzy. That's not the way you do it. But you do. You
don't just post it on Facebook to say, anybody looking for double-digit returns?
Yeah, exactly. You don't do a cattle call. It's more like an invitation, an opportunity that you're presenting, right? And that you haven't just asked anybody or wouldn't just let anybody do this, right? So a lot of it just happens, it's in all of business and all of real estate, so much of it, and I've thought about this so much lately, it's just asking questions. It's just being bold. It's just, because what's the worst someone can say when you ask for something? No?
Say no, yeah.
Okay, well, that's not that bad. You move on with your life, right? But we sometimes think, I'm not going to ask it, and we build this fear around asking somebody to go into business with us or be a private lender, or asking a cash buyer to buy a property from us, or asking a realtor to do this kind of work with, or whatever it is.
Right.
We're sometimes afraid to be bold. And the way I get over that is think about what the worst case scenario is. If you need this realtor to do this for you, or you want this realtor to do this, and you ask him to do that, what's the worst he can say? No. Right? Your family's still alive. You didn't lose any money. You just got to know. You can move on with your life, right?
Absolutely.
And every no you get gets you closer to that yes. So it's just asking. And I told you I was going to tell a story from when I think I was like 5 or 6 years old, but this is when I first started. I look back now, and I was taught this concept. I didn't realize it at the time, but we were just talking about Clearwater Beach before the show.
Yep.
It was at Clearwater Beach, and it was like a beach area. There was like a beach.
And you were raising money? You were 5 years old? You were raising money?
I was raising money, yeah. You'll see where I'm going with this. So I'm there with my family. there's a pool, there's the ocean and stuff, and it was kind of a public area, and there was like a tiki bar, like one of those like tiki bar or whatever, like
Yep.
on the beach, music blaring and stuff. And I'm like, I think I'm 5, maybe 6 years old, and I started seeing those little mini umbrellas that they put in drinks, right? So like, and I'd never seen those before, cocktails, like these little miniature umbrellas, and I
Yep.
thought, those are super cool, 5 years old, super cool little umbrellas. I want one of those umbrellas. And somebody told me, I forget who it was, maybe one of the adults that my parents were with, oh, well, you only get that if you buy a drink or whatever. And my uncle, I think it was, says, yeah, go ask the bartender for one. He'll probably give you one. So I go over to him and I'm like, excuse me. I'm like over the bar, I'm like, excuse me, can I have one of those umbrellas, please? And he kind of looks down at me. He's like, yeah, sure. So he gives me an umbrella. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm sitting there playing with this little, I got the beach, I got the ocean, but I'm playing with this little mini umbrella,
Right.
And I'm like, I got to get another one. One umbrella's not enough. I got to get another one. So I go back to him. Can I have another umbrella? So he gives me another one. Well, at 5 years old, what's better than 2 umbrellas?
Yeah, 3.
3 umbrellas, right? So I go back to him 5 times, right? I've now got 5 umbrellas. The 6th time I go back to him, I'm like, can I have one more umbrella? He reaches under the bar. He pulls out the entire cup of umbrellas. There's like 100 of them.
Yeah.
He just says, here.
Yeah,
And he
don't come back.
Umbrellas. That was it, dude. I was ruined. I was like, all you have to do is ask.
Yeah.
If you ask the right questions, then for him, it was just being persistent, right? But I look back on that now, and I thought, I used that a lot, again, throughout my life. It's just being bold. And as silly as a story as that is, it's true, right?
Yeah.
You ask the questions. You're not afraid. What's the worst that bartender could have said? No, kid, go away. You're bugging me. I would have moved on with my life. Never would have thought about it again. But what I learned was keep asking, and you're going to get the entire tub of umbrellas.
Yeah, I know some people, their strategy is, I've talked to some other folks in terms of raising private money, and sometimes they position it, it's not so much a fear of like, I don't want to ask you directly, but they're a little more indirect. Like, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I've bought, quite a few houses, and, basically position it as, we may have an opportunity to bring a new private lender on. Do you know anybody that'd be interested? And kind of not, you're not asking the person directly, like, do you know anybody in your network? Now that could do 2 things. One, it could force them. Sometimes it's like, well, why didn't you ask me? Yeah, I'm interested. They kind of like, it's like almost like a scarcity tactic. Like,
yeah,
I'm interested in anybody other than you. And you're like, no, I'm interested. But sometimes if they're not interested, they're like, you know what? I know somebody else that you might consider asking. So could open up some new doors for you potentially.
I think that's a great idea. And you ask every person that, a lot of people are going to be like, well, yeah, what about this guy, like that you didn't ask? So yeah, I think that's a great way to do it. And even if they aren't that person, say, well, who do you know that would? Get lists from people, and say, hey, there's, might be a little referral fee in there for you. There's different ways to incentivize people to bring you people that might be like that too. And that's just one of many ways and many places. And but obviously the first most natural place to look is right there in your own sphere of influence. You might have everybody you need right around you already, but you haven't asked the right questions. Or you haven't asked the right question enough to get the tub of umbrellas, right? So
right.
That's the way it works. So
Matt, we're going to jump into the taking action statement here in just a minute. Where we're going, I know you're going to share more about where to find them. I mean, you've got some. We talked a little bit beforehand. You've got some great tips for that. Yeah. So before we jump into that, though, I wanted to share. We've got a question. I purposely did not tell you what it was, but we've got a question for somebody off of Twitter that asked. I knew this would be a great a great question for you. What are the pros and cons? This is a totally different subject here. Pros and cons of working with your spouse as an investor, which you do.
That's a good question, man.
Yeah.
Okay, how can I answer this that won't get me in trouble with my wife?
Yeah, let's pretend like she's not going to listen to this and just let it all fly, man.
Yeah. I think a lot of it, obviously there's an extra layer when it's a husband, wife, or, even like a family member, that's a partner or something like that. It's different than just a traditional business partner. There's an extra layer there, but the principles to me are the same. It's first finding out, do you have complementary skills? Just because you're married doesn't mean you should be working together. So I think assessing that first, and then if you agree, okay, we have some complementary skills here, then it's figuring out how to get in that lane and stay in that lane. For me, I really I guess I should say I misassessed that when Lindsay first became part of our company, right? Because I was a marketer and I made videos and my face is out there, and that's how we sold properties, was kind of selling, hey, I'm the investor in this Tampa Bay area. Starting out, I marketed myself, you know. Lindsay hates that. She hates being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Hates being on video. And I mean, in the first few years of our business, I had HGTV coming and shooting demo reels in my home market of Tampa, and Lindsay's on camera. The worst. I mean, she's great on camera, but she hates it. Right.
Yeah, right.
I had her in the wrong lane. It was the exact wrong place for her to be, and I was trying to kind of make her. I thought, okay, she's kind of like me. She'll be the other half of this marketing side or whatever. Marketing's not her thing. So early on, and well, not as early as I should have figured it out probably, but after a couple years of trying to fit square peg in a round hole, she said, I hate this being out front stuff. It's just not me. I love you doing it. You're great at it, but this is not right for me. And what Lindsay's good at is organizational structure.
Yeah.
Accounting processes, she's great at hiring. She's not as good at firing. I guess I have to come in and do that, but she's great at creating a framework. She's great at training people. She trains our accountants, to do the processes that we need. So she is she's not that type A personality who's all over the place like me. She's the organized one. So once we figured out those lanes, and really said, look, this is what you're going to do because this is what you're good at. This is what I'm going to do because this is what I'm good at. It's then about, okay, now what do we both kind of stink at? And what do we both, what should neither of us be doing? Or what are we both miserable doing? And a lot of that was some process stuff that we hired out to some in-house assistants, some virtual assistants, some virtual accountants. That, I mean, there are so many resources out there just on Elance, just Elance alone.
Right, absolutely.
Get so much done. So it's kind of like, what do I hate that's left that I can outsource, And so I think that was it, getting each other in the right spots. For me, it was listening to her, so I knew that she was in the wrong spot,
Yep.
and then filling in the gaps that you don't have. And I think where a lot of people get in trouble is they both think they have to do everything, or it's a husband and wife team that they both have to be meeting with the contractors, or they both have to be picking out colors. There's very little that Lindsay and I in our business do redundantly.
Right. You need to divide and conquer, right?
Very little that we do together because we're not good at the same thing. So it's kind of a long answer, but
literally, I think I would have answered it almost the exact same way. My wife also named Lindsay. She's great on the operating side, and I think it's real important to identify what your roles and responsibilities are. And I think you said a great thing that really took me a long time to kind of pick up on too, was I just kind of assumed, well, she's good. There's some stuff that like she's good at, but she just hates doing it. Right. And so it was like, I was kind of like almost like forcing her to do it because I didn't want to do it. Right. And I thought, well, you're good at that, and without thinking like, do you like that? And you just got to find those things that you really don't like doing and find another way to get them done. Otherwise, it's easy to start to get this friction between I'm doing the crap and you're doing the fun stuff,
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And Lindsay likes doing the stuff that I think is kind of crap, right? But she likes the organizational structure. She likes list making and checking off stuff off the list and processes and scheduling and calendar. Just making sure the calendar's set the right way and just all that stuff that if I didn't have her, the business would be probably half as successful as it was, because it would still make money, but it would be very, very inefficient. So
absolutely.
That's the piece of it for me. And then the outsourcing piece is huge. I mean, the outsourcing piece probably saved our marriage. Because we stopped trying to make each other do things that we should.
That's right.
Business doing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And focus on the important things.
Yep. Well, hey, we're about to jump into the part 2 Taking Action segment, and talk about how to find private lenders and how to talk to them. Just all the places that I know you've got some great tips you're going to share.
Yeah,
so why don't we go ahead and let's just jump right into the Taking Action segment. Thanks for joining us up to this point in the show. The second half of our show is restricted to only FlipNerd Pro and Elite members and only accessible on FlipNerd.com. If you're not a Pro or Elite member yet, you can upgrade your account in about 1 minute by visiting FlipNerd.com/upgrade. Depending on membership level, you'll get access to off-market properties real time, including real-time email and text alerts for new properties listed in your market. You'll get access to hundreds of full-length expert interviews And elite members get access to the Flip Nerd Lab, which includes detailed masterclass trainings, 2 live webinars a month where you can interact with leaders in the industry, and access to our elite mastermind group, where you can interact with hundreds of the top real estate investors in America. Build relationships with those that are actually operating successful real estate investing businesses. By visiting flipnerd.com/upgrade, you'll learn much more about our membership options. And once you've upgraded your membership, come on back and listen to the rest of this show. Wish you could watch or listen to more flipnerd.com shows? You can. As a premium member, you can get access to the full length of hundreds of past shows at flipnerd.com/shows. Or hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play. While you're there, please subscribe so you don't miss another episode. And if you like what you hear, we'd really love a positive review. It's the ultimate high five for us. Show us some love by subscribing and giving us a great review today.